So yesterday, I think it was the day before, my mom was over at her friend's house. And, she's got some friends that are real, like, I don't have any. That's why I'm on here doing this. Because I don't have any to talk about this stuff with, you know. But she has found some people. I think they're all still waiting for Jesus. But they do have an awareness of what is going on. But, I'm always been saying weird shit to her since the beginning of 2020. I was sending stuff. When I started, when I knew that there was lying going on, and I could see, like, well, why would they be lying about this? Why would they be lying about these? Why would they be lying about these? Why would they be lying about all of this medical and stuff? So when I went on and started looking and started finding information, I'm like, oh, start sending stuff to people. Well, a huge group of people. Oh my God, got a YouTube. Oh my God. Oh, what? Do I go to the Huffington Post? Is that where I'm going to get my most accurate information? So then I started sharing all this stuff, and, there's people who are just like, oh my God, that's a conspiracy theorist. I'm not listening to that. Oh my God, oh my God. Like, oh my God. This is what I'm talking about. Like, you have got to learn to listen to people you don't agree with and get their information. Otherwise, you are just a narrow-minded little singular wrapped up in your own little fucking wrapping paper of holier than thou. I've got all the answers. I'm perfect. Anyone who doesn't agree with me has got, it's like so mental. And, but when I was sending them to my mom, she would listen to them. And so she started getting like, what? Like, oh, and some of the stuff, she's thought like, okay, Kelly's a little wacky. Like, there's a lot of stuff that she doesn't believe about. A lot of things that you can't say the words, but, about face masks that are, like a Halloween kind of, thing that you make around here. Take it off of this person, put it on yourself, and then dance around them to scare them so that you can get something out of their blood that makes you look way younger. Like, all that stuff is really real. I mean, anybody who went and looked into it knows how real all the stuff is that they pretend is not real. And so some of the stuff, I would tell her, she'd be like, okay, that can't be true. That just cannot be true. Oh my gosh, Hellboy just came across the thing. That's what this is. And so she would be like, there's no way that, but she would just keep it to herself. She wouldn't say, like, okay, Kelly, you're crazy. She would just be like, okay, yeah, it's hard to believe. But so when she was at her friend's the other day, she was like, oh yeah, Tracy, her, I guess her some relative, I think it's her brother or something, is a soldier. I don't know for how long, but he still has a lot of contacts. That's where a lot of intel comes from. A lot of people who have made those relationships and network, and then they're, spreading what they're hearing. And so, anyways, this guy, it was all the crazy, like, Spokane is having just horrible still. I mean, it's been smoke for, I think, like almost a month. It's just smoke. The temperatures are super hot, and you just don't even know how miserable that is. As you go out into, like, super, super heat, like 90, 100 degrees, and you can't breathe. It's just smoke. It's like you're in an oven that's on fire. So it's really horrible, and I feel really bad for him. And I'm constantly, some of the things, like, if my mom's talking about her aches and pains and stuff, I'm constantly on the toxins and the poisons that we are digesting. And I'm constantly talking about the weather stuff. Like, I'll watch certain things. Like, I was watching that, the Yellowstone thing, and I would say, like, they're fucking with the super volcano. They're trying to set it off, because when you are hitting it with an energy weapon, I would assume an energy weapon, they could be using some kind of bombs, because they were using those in the tunnels and stuff like that. That's why there was tons and tons of earthquakes that were all like the same exact depth I guess that's not how it works. But you can tell, like, what earthquakes are pulsate. They don't pulsate. That's a definite energy weapon. So they're hitting it and hitting it and hitting it, trying to set it off. It's madness. It's crazy. And now all of a sudden, when I was talking before about the sand was stopping the cyclones and hurricanes, well, now, I don't know, they got the sand under control because now we got or they're just making it up to scare us. But now we've suddenly got all these hurricanes and stuff coming. And so when she was at her friend's, she messaged me later and she goes, I just want to tell you that that stuff you say about the weather, there's other people saying that. Her brother talks about that all the time, that what they're doing to the weather. It's like, yeah, they really are doing it. I'm not making this shit up. How would I even come up with this stuff? I've gone and looked into it and seen the truth. Couldn't make this stuff up. And even if it was one person making this stuff up, how would it spread? How would there be so many people in all different places of the world able to look up all these different things through multiple different sources and find the same information? Because it's real. It's not a conspiracy theory. And it's just so funny because, when she's like, the weather thing just sounded too outlandish. Like, there's no way. How can they mess with the weather? And then she heard somebody else. I'm like, see? That's how you get confirmation. You start getting these random things that come in and confirm the information that you're being told that you will feel inside of you. And to me, the smartest thing to do is just open your mind to anything is possible. That's how I've always been. Anything is possible. Like, I've never understood how people were like, nope, there's no Bigfoot. Only crazy people think there's a Bigfoot. I don't know. People are, I don't know. I think I'm going through one of those days where it's just like, oh my God, beam me up, Scotty. Oh, I've got to get out of this place. This is just like, sometimes it is like being in hell, but sometimes it's like being in a mental asylum back in the 20s or something. It's like so mental, and they're testing on all the people. I just saw another thing too, and I didn't watch it. I just saw somebody, I think it was Mr. Ballin. No, it was Education. Education was talking about his podcast that he had on a person, and they were talking about, I think it was in the late 1800s. I think it was an orphanage. It could have been where they were putting the mentally ill, because it became kind of the same thing. Anybody, like if you were a woman who had PMS, I think you would get sent to the mental institutes back then. They do all sorts of stuff. They could, when they were doing lobotomies and stuff like that, they'd take a pin and shove it through somebody's eye and poke this part of their brain to, I guess, kill their brain so that they could just become easier to control. It's kooky, the stuff that they used to do. But his Education, his podcast, he was talking about back in, I swear it was the late 1800s, but it was all these little orphan kids. And so then they decided to test radioactive oatmeal on these kids. They didn't have permission. They didn't, same thing as when they tested LSD on people, or, like the people who want to pretend like Charles Manson and all his people just went out and went crazy and started killing people to start a race war. Sounds kind of made up, huh? That was the CIA's good at that. And, at that time, they were going out and finding these groups and giving them drugs because they were testing on them. And then when murders started happening, they had to pull out of that one real quick. Like, ooh, can't be involved with that. Let's just scapegoat this guy, turn this into this, turn that. They just spin it. That's all they do. Spin every story the way they want to direct it. And you have all these gullible little guppies that are just sucking the life out of it. Like, oh, okay. And one of those things too, the nutrition one, when they had people convinced that a child would be healthier if it drank formula. Your boobs are there for sex. Like, oh, come on, people. Why are they leaking when you have a baby? That's just gross. You need to, clean that up and get back to your sex and give your baby this formula. That's how you're going to have a healthy baby. Then you have all these sick babies. It's like these people, these controllers, whatever, that are trying to figure out always how to, practice on us, study, use scientific experiments, and cause us to have where we're paying for their elite, wonderful lives while we all are starving, and it's being put on us that there's homeless, being put on us that there's starving people, being put on us that there's not clean water for people everywhere, and everything gets put on us, but the controllers are the ones doing it. And I totally forgot what I was talking about. That's so frustrating. Well, anyways, skip back around. So the controllers are the ones that are doing all of this stuff to us. And, but they spin it and they say something else. Like they're always the one who are saving us, but they set up the disaster. That's their little false flag thing. They set up a disaster. Then they go in and convince us that they've got all the saving things, but it's going to take more stuff away from us. But you guys, come on, give up your rights. Like, the people in Flint still don't have clean water. Do we even talk about it? They put stuff in the news. I don't even know. Maybe that stuff about Flint water just somehow got out there without them, and they just had to kind of squash the story and spin it, because you sure don't hear about it anymore. But all of the things that are happening, they're giving people cancer, and then they're selling you the cure. They are giving, like, how many cities across this world are, like I've said before, it's like petri dish after petri dish after petri dish. This one, they're putting, whatever kind of chemical in your water. This one over here, they're putting this chemical in your water. And, they have these different ways of getting the stuff into these different select groups. And I had met somebody, I know I've talked about this before, and it was the guy who would do the trophies for my daughter's soccer thing. And he had always lived in this area. It was called Millwood, and it's in Spokane, and it's also where the paper mill was. And the paper mill had been there for a long time, right on the river. So all of these people who had grown up there and lived there, they all got the same cancer because of the chemical that the newspaper was putting into the river, into water. This is the same area also where I had gotten E. coli from drinking the water out of the faucet, and then found out a couple days later when they announced it on the news, oh, in case you're sick, we got a little E. coli in the water, the cows pooped in the water. It's like, how are we getting water the cows are pooping in? I mean, they are taking our sewage and they're treating it and then feeding it back to us. Now they got it made where they can take our bodies legally now and turn them into mush when we die, and then spray it across the crops. I told you already that they were already using these body parts to put in this gel that they add to food, that they add to our face products and stuff. Like, oh my God. It is so freaking disgusting. It is because they're cannibals. They want to make us into the same thing. They push this pervy sex stuff on TV because they want us to be like them. They are just this, they have gotten themselves in such a sick state that nothing satisfies them. And they want us to be like them so that we can't judge them. It's not because they want to bring us up to their status. No, they think they're gods. They just want us to not be able to judge them. How can we turn around if we're sitting there watching shows, getting pervy, watching little girls do jumping jacks as we watch their crotch jump up and down and bullshit like that? they think like, oh, you know, if you've become aroused now, they're putting shots that they use in porn purposely to arouse people. I mean, that's on purpose. How many? I don't even know. Like I can't even explain it. If you just can't get it, I don't even know anymore. I feel like I mean, it seems kind of mean, and I don't mean this in a mean way at all. But we all understand things on different levels. And I feel like I understand things on a level that I feel like there's a lot of people who understand things on. And some of the stuff I'll try and like explain it, but then it's like you start getting into this like murky waters. Like, how do you know what people understand when they can't even understand what you're talking about on a basic level? So you're trying to explain it to them. Like, sometimes it feels like you're trying to like dumb something down, like to get people to understand, just to get them to crawl out of that hole. Yesterday, I told one of my kids, it's like, you are in the ocean. You are just swimming around, believing whatever you're told. You don't come up to the surface. You don't look up to see if anything's out there. Her response is, well, maybe you just need to get back in the ocean. I don't know. It's just, you know, we just have all these people who don't want to learn. They don't want to expand. They don't want to grow. They just want this mediocre, sad life to bitch and whine and complain about to each other. To go out and stuff their face with toxin food that, I mean, just right there, how many people went to restaurants during this deadly thing that happened? Who that? The disconnect that I saw there, like, you were scared you were going to get a sickness and die, but you're going to get food that other people handle. You're going to put it in your mouth. You're going to get food that other people cook. Like, this is, you know, just speaking of the disconnect. I cut an onion. I have one daughter, throw it away. It's no good. Once you cut that piece, it's done. It's over. It just absorbs bacteria. It's garbage. How many restaurants do you go to? Do you think you get a fresh onion every time? You think that they're just bringing out all the best lettuce? You know, they just went out to the farmer's market that morning and bought all your stuff fresh. I was like, come on, people. Like, what in the hell? I don't know. Today is definitely one of those days where it's just like questioning, like, how can you be this disconnected? So anyways, if you listen to this, then you're probably feeling the same way. I'm there with you. I don't get it. And, you know, we're still waiting to see how this is going to play out. It just gets kind of spookier as it goes. So, you know, we'll see. I don't understand any better than the next guy. I can talk about what I see, and it's definitely the disconnect of their actions and what their expectations are very, very opposite. So, okay, have a great day. I'm sure I'll be back. This won't be my last ramble. Talk to you later. Bye.